Can the Iowa football running game be fixed? We talked to a former Hawkeye running back. LeShun Daniels back with us this week. We break it down today. Locked on Hawkeyes.
You are Locked on Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon. He's LeShun Daniels, and this is the Locked on Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked on Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Available wherever you get podcasts. Make sure to give us a 5-star review. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Today's episode of Locked on Hawkeyes is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's Gametime. LeShun, welcome back. Game in, feeling good. Utah State. Boy, those first couple of possessions, it looked like, here we go. And then we still had 3.5 more quarters of football to be played, and the offense went into the old Kirk Ferentz lockbox and didn't see a whole lot from there. But how you doing?
Doing well. I mean, they can't really complain too much about a win. Starting off the season on the right foot, and excited to be back here today and talking about the Hawks. So,
well, we look back at the game. You get the big kick return from Caleb Johnson. Showed a little juice there, opening things up. They start on the plus side of the 50. 2 plays in, touchdown pass, Seth Anderson wide open. Goes down to the turf. They have to review it. I'm like, oh, geez, here we go again. It's right. And then we got to sit in the north end zone for the first time. So took the kids to their first game. Well, my daughter had been before, but my little guy, Jack, it was his first time at the Hawkeye game. Super hot. Not a great one for the kids, but we made it to the third quarter, and then it was time to hit the car and get on the road back home as they were a little overheated there, but got to see those first couple of possessions. Things were looking good. Really the biggest storyline, though, of the football game was Iowa gets a win. That's great, but their inability to run the football. And in those situations, in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, when you're trying to salt the game away against a Utah State team that was out without their best defensive tackle, gave up a ton of rushing yards a year ago, Iowa just couldn't run the football. Let's start right there. What you saw from the game and how concerned it makes you after what you saw.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit frustrating from a running game standpoint. I thought the offensive line did a pretty good job in pass protection. Night and day difference of what we saw last year in that department. But I felt like in the run game, kind of saw a lot of the same, issues that we had saw last year in the run game, and a lot of it came from Utah State got plenty of penetration. It felt like every single time that you tried to run the football, and whether it was trying to get it running outside. Guys were getting upfield and forcing, the backs to make cuts sooner than they would have liked. And then when it was run inside, again, creating that interior pressure, which again, forced the running backs to make additional cuts that, you don't want to see or you don't want to have in the run game, especially if you're trying to get some momentum early on, in a drive to help your offense stay on schedule, to help you stay on the field longer. So those were this initial thoughts just when I was watching it live that I happened to see quite a bit. And I'm not sure if it's, guys not entirely confident on what their assignment is or coming off the ball, at the right time on the snap count, but everything just kind of seemed like the operation seemed slow from offensive line standpoint. And then that allowed Utah State to create some penetration, in the run game, which again led to, less than stellar performance in that department.
Really did. And I think we both believe that it's not a running back problem. Caleb Johnson, we've talked about his talent so much, and we're both just enthralled with what he can be and the kind of talent that he has. Jazion Patterson, he's got some juice to his game. I'm really impressed by him. And he got a real competent veteran guy in between with LeShaun Williams. You feel good about that. It goes to up front. And the question that I keep coming back to is schematically. Is this something, though they don't run nearly as much zone blocking as even back when you were playing not too long ago? They have used a lot more gap blocking, hat on hat, doing those kind of things. Still, the tenets of things are what they do with the zone blocking scheme. And with the change and the inability to cut block now, that backside guy. How many times does it look like, boy, they got the edge set out there. They're running outside zone. And here comes a guy, either a defensive end or an outside backer, or even a safety from the backside, and cuts it down for a 2-yard loss. Is it schematically an issue what they're trying to do in the changes in the rules in college football?
Yeah. I feel like that definitely limits opportunities for big plays on cutbacks for sure, especially in the zone running game. I mean, you think back when I was playing, or even running backs before I was playing, like a lot of big runs would come from pressing the front side of a play, and then you get a great block on the backside, allows you to stick your foot in the ground, and read that cut block and make make a big play from there. So it definitely has obviously forced the Iowa staff to change up how you're going to block those plays, because again, you don't want to get called for a penalty on it, especially on a long run. I mean, remember when we were playing Rutgers, when I was playing, we come out of half, I score a 75-yard touchdown, but they call, illegal low block or whatever on the backside. So, and again, it forces as your offensive line to block differently, and it makes those backside blocks a lot harder. So now you're forced to stay on that front side of things, because if you try to cut back, right, there's going to be a defender in your face there. So yeah, there's definitely some schemes and things that you can do, and part of it is, again, getting back to running the gap schemes or running the power plays and things of that nature. But I know that's not what Coach Ferentz typically like to do. He knows that there's a time and place for those, but he typically, again, he loves the zone run. So coming up with a way to get back to doing what you do and doing it effectively, that's part of the reason why those guys are getting paid the money that they are. But you also got to look at it like, hey, if we can't do the things that we want to do, especially on the backside of blocks, you're going to have to continue to stay with those gap schemes, continue with the counter plays, and just continue to work on it and improve on that. And part of that, again, is going to help the offensive line getting off the ball on the first step, preventing those defensive linemen from creating penetration up the field. And I think they'll have an opportunity to do that this week. I know Iowa State has some younger guys on the defensive line. You don't have a first round draft pick on the edge either, so that makes it definitely going to make it a little bit easier. But it's going to be a tough football game on Saturday. So definitely making sure that you're sounding your technique and making sure that, hey, we at least let's try to keep the guys on the line of scrimmage, not let them create that penetration, a yard, 2 yards into the backfield. Because even if you do end up getting a block on them, it makes it much more difficult on the running back. And then now, they're getting contacted in the backfield instead of, at least 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage.
So the big question remains, can it be fixed? I mean, is there a way that they can fix this thing in season, either schematically, playing better? I thought the guard play in the run game was really bad, but it wasn't just them alone. Logan Jones, I thought, was really solid. Pass protection was really good, but in the run game, the guard play just wasn't up to snuff. And this has been really a 4-year process. I mean, you go back to even 2019, that was a really good Iowa team. And a couple of games where it showed up big time was the inability of the guards. That was the year they had Alaric Jackson on one side, Tristan Wirfs on the other, Tyler Linderbaum in the middle, and the guards weren't good enough. And I'm concerned because I think Mason Richmond definitely is taking a step forward and becoming a really good tackle out there. Logan Jones has made that leap this year, but the guard play. So when you kind of put it all together, can this running game be fixed this season?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously, you're going to see, you typically see from football teams the biggest jump from week 1 to week 2, because obviously now you've got live tape, you've seen everyone in a live environment on the football field, and it really allows you to make the additional adjustments as a coaching staff and as a player. Like, okay, this is what I was trying to do last week. I had some success doing this, and I had less success doing, this other thing. So obviously trying to get those guys to understand, like, hey, this is what we're looking for. Because there was definitely plays out there where you're like, okay, like these guys look good. Like, this is what we're looking for in a run game. So it's not like they don't know what to see and what to expect. But as you just mentioned, yeah, it's been an ongoing issue. And I feel like definitely the scheme is going to have to help the guys a bunch. But again, when you're running gap schemes and you're running counter plays, like those guards are a pretty important part of that blocking scheme. Whereas when you're running a zone play, whether it's inside zone or outside zone, like those interior blocks are pretty important. But if everyone has some type of movement, usually the running back can pick and choose what they want to do, even if they don't get, great blocking up front. So it's a great question. I don't know if they will be able to fix it, make it look perfect, this week, but I am definitely expecting significant improvement from week 1 to week 2, because again, that's typically when you're going to see your biggest improvement throughout the season, and then you're going to continually get incremental improvement changes throughout the year.
LeShun Daniels breaking it down with here, Trent Condon, as we talk on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. As we continue, what's it like to play in Ames? We'll talk about the rivalry. We'll talk about LeShun's time on the sideline and in the game, and some of the vitriol that certainly came his way from the Cyclone fans. We'll do that as we continue here. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. As an owner of a small business, the hiring process can be completely difficult in today's day and age, wages going up, finding those right people. Yet, LinkedIn Jobs makes it a whole lot easier. All you do, add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That spreads the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Trent Condon alongside LeShun Daniels back with you once again on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We got the NFL schedule opening up tonight with the Chiefs and the Lions, your NFL team, your Major League Baseball team, NBA, NHL. We got you covered. Not only that, Locked On Big Ten, Locked On Fantasy Football, Locked On Bets. We got you covered here on the Locked On Network. And thanks for being with us here on Locked On Hawkeyes. All right, LeShun, as we roll through a road trip to Ames, it's a rivalry game. There's a dumb trophy attached to it. Not the pewter family trophy that we had for all of, a week before that thing went away with the family looking up with the corn stalks in their hand. But let's start right there. The rivalry game, kind of what it was for you, not an in-state guy.
Yeah. It's definitely something that I feel is important. It's definitely important. Again, there is a trophy on the line, anytime you get an opportunity to play for a trophy, regardless of what it is, right? It's a big opportunity for the team, for the players. So you definitely get really, really excited for it. And the fact that it's essentially the de facto college Iowa state championship game, like it's like you want to have those bragging rights. Like just as being a competitor, you're going to get up, you're going to be excited. You definitely want to have those bragging rights. And obviously it's been a rivalry game for a long while now. So you definitely want to get up and get excited for it. And being an out-of-state guy, I obviously understood the importance of rivalries. I mean, being from Ohio, you definitely understand rivalries there, whether it's college, NFL, like you got rivalries really like essentially like all over the place. So, that anytime you get to go against a team that, your guys, especially your in-state guys don't like, you want to get up for your teammates and you want to be like, okay, like, yeah, this is our opportunity to hold these bragging rights for another year, as we typically have been doing. So you get excited for that game. You understand the importance of it, the fact that there's a trophy on the line, the fact that you want to have those bragging rights, and you want to do it for the rest of your in-state teammates that have been around this rivalry for a long time. Yeah, you definitely get excited and get up for it.
So what is it like playing in Ames? You doesn't matter where you go. I can tell you from a fan perspective, but for you being in the game and coming out of the tunnel, making your way, what's it like playing a football game in Ames?
Yeah, so I mean, usually for the Iowa game, it's always a great environment. Like it's an environment that you sign up to play college football for. I mean, going into a hostile place, going into your rival stadium, and they pack the stadium like that's what you want. Like especially being at a high level competitor, you want to go into that environment, and you want to shut those guys up because again, you're walking out. And you got to take a long walk because again, that's where Iowa State's like home locker room used to be. So for starters, they've got a pretty nice visitor locker room. Can't really complain about that. But it's a long walk, and you got to walk, through that old building over there. You come through, and then you walk down like the ramp, and then you just got like their fans are just all right down there, just and all types of nonsense, to you, whether it's adults, students, kids, grandparents, whoever, like they're yelling all types of nonsense. And, that stuff like got me jacked. It got the rest of the team jacked. You're like, okay, yeah, like this is what we're looking for when it comes to a hostile environment. So that I think got everyone pretty fired up. From the players and the coaches, and then like when you go back into the locker room, like after you warmed up, and you can just feel the energy. You can feel everyone's like in there, just kind of like ready to explode and go out there and show off. So
It's going to be a fun environment in this one. So let's talk about what we anticipate we're going to see Saturday afternoon, 2:30 kickoff on Fox. Iowa State, they had a lot with the gambling investigation. They lose their starting quarterback, their starting running back, a couple of other big pieces coming into the season, one of their offensive linemen. They get the 30-9 win against UNI over the weekend. It was pretty ho-hum. They got the pick six early. They got a big return that set up their second touchdown, and they put it really in cruise control. They only ran 48 offensive plays in the football game. I went back and watched it on Sunday night, LeShun. It was hard to really get a great feel of this team and certainly where they are right now offensively, just the way that game played out. But the only loss that you had in your career while you were at Iowa came in a year that came in 0-2. They looked terrible the first 2 weeks, and they found a way to get you guys over in Iowa City. So it's a rivalry game, but what do you see when you look at this Cyclone team?
Yeah. Obviously they're dealing with, some new guys and some spots, especially at quarterback, when you're dealing with all the off the field stuff that has kind of happened with them this off season. And, they come out and again, they start fast against a UNI team that has typically always played, us in-state opponents pretty tough. So definitely to come out and start showing strong in that manner definitely probably gave them some positive momentum, moving forward. But like you said, again, they only played like about 50 snaps the other night, so you don't really get a good grip of kind of what you're going to expect. And typically, what you see in their first game, regardless of how they turn it up an entire differently notch when it comes to playing Iowa. So you never know what you're going to get, but offensively they're going to be relatively consistent. They're going to try to get the ball to their playmakers and really look for those one or two typically pretty big plays throughout the game to really kind of keep them into it. And then defensively they have typically played with, I think, a 3 down front, especially as of late, especially because obviously you're in Big 12, you got to be able to have those extra DBs and extra linebackers to be able to cover guys. So typically going to expect that 3 down front. So again, it does open opportunities in the run game as well. So, I'm really excited to see how Iowa's going to come out and adjust, especially with Cade dealing with his quad and, the struggles that we saw in the run game last week. Because again, typically in this game, if you can outrush the other team, you're gonna have a pretty good chance of winning the ball game. So I'm gonna be excited to see how Iowa comes out and how they adjust to what they're doing. But again, that Iowa State's gonna come out, they're gonna play tough, and they're not gonna let Iowa just walk in there and make it an easy game. So
good stuff. LeShun Daniels joining us here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast and his weekly hit with us. We will continue. Last week, your boy TC got the win in our season-long pick contest. We got a couple beers on the line, lunch. We'll figure something out next time we actually get to hang out. You gonna make it? By the way, you gonna make it to Iowa City for any games? Have you taken a look at the schedule yet?
Funny you just asked me that, because Matt Vandenberg asked me that last night, and I was like, I actually don't know yet. That's still TBD. I was planning on hitting up the Northwestern game here at Wrigley for sure, because again, that's right up the street. But as far as the game in Iowa City, I don't know yet. I'll definitely have to pick one out and head up to one. The Minnesota one looks like it could be a good one.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure, so.
Well, speaking of that game at Wrigley, we're doing a little production here right live on the air for everybody. I'm going to be there doing my radio show on Friday. I got some tickets to the rooftop for the game. And I will tell you, LeShun, we could do Friday after my radio show, Friday afternoon. I'm going to be at Merkel's, the big Hawkeye bar.
Okay, yeah.
We could do a live Locked On Hawkeyes Friday before the game. What do you think of that?
Oh, that would be actually pretty cool. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Let's do it. We can actually meet in person for the first time. And, I can get you for you winning last time. I'll get you a couple of we're going to have a good time. So we'll continue to work to set that up. But, for you Chicago Hawkeye fans or anybody making your way to the Northwestern game in Wrigley coming up in November, Friday, I'll be doing my radio show from 11 to 1 on KXNO. And then afterwards, we'll do a Locked On Hawkeyes live there for Merkel's. That'll be fun, and looking forward to that. We'll make our picks when we come back here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. And college football fans, as the season is here, Locked On is kicking up our coverage with Locked On College Football Kickoff Live. It's each Friday. Locked On's going to go live from 10 to noon our time, Central Time, on every Locked On College YouTube channel. College Football Kickoff Live will cover everything going on in the world of college football, from playoff implications to the big rivalry games, and go in depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday from 10 to noon Central Time on any Locked On College YouTube channel. You won't want to miss it. Today's episode of the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast is brought to you by Gametime. Well, it is a big ticket coming up certainly this week with Iowa State. And buying tickets for your favorite event, including that one, shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Killer last-minute deals, those last-minute tickets, and the best price guarantee. You can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped up for the event. Flash deals and last-minute tickets as well. Easy to find. Buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. You also get, and I love this part of it, images of the seat views. What it's going to look like when you're sitting in there, different parts of it, different parts of the stadium, different parts of the theater, whatever it may be, you can see what you will see while you're inside the event. Plus that lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, lost job protection, all kinds of different things that they have. Get images of your seat. Like I said, my favorite part of the Gametime app, along with, of course, the cost, and you're going to know where you are. Buy tickets in seconds, 2 taps, and you're set. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and make sure to use the code. It's Locked On College. That will get you $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account and use the redeem code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Trent Condon back with you alongside LeShun Daniels for one final time here today on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. All right, LeShun, let's get into it. And it's our picks presented by FanDuel. All right, let's take a look last week. I know I got you. It was last week, 1-4 for you, LeShun. Woo.
I know.
That's not the start you're looking for. I went with your dad's Buckeyes. I got you there. I had Indiana. I had Fresno, West Virginia. I could have had a great week. Fresno and Penn State. Oh, James Franklin.
That was crazy.
Well, Franklin wasn't there when you were playing yet, right? That was still the O'Brien era?
Oh, he might have been there. I want to say he was there. Yeah, we played him in 2016. Yeah.
That guy, he just bothers me. He bothers me even more because I had a ticket on that game on top of it. So I like West Virginia coming to that one, and the last minute cover out of out of Penn State. So you got the win in that. No, you went West Virginia too. So 1-4 for you, 3-2 for me. Let's get it started here. Of course, we'll finish it up with the Iowa State game. All these lines are available right now to fire at on FanDuel. Let's kick it off with one of the biggest games, maybe the college football season. One of only 2 ranked matchups this week. It is number 11 Texas getting 7 against Alabama. Take it away. You're up first, LeShun.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting game. Again, it wasn't a phenomenal game last year. Alabama came to Texas, and really looked like that Texas was gonna have them. And there's some last minute heroics from their star quarterback. They were able to pull that one out, and I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for this one. But going into Tuscaloosa is going to be very, very tough environment to play. And Ewers had a solid game, but probably not as good as you were expecting from him, last week against Rice. So I'm going to take Alabama and the points on this one, just because I feel like it's so tough to go into Tuscaloosa and win there. And I honestly don't know if Ewers is that guy to go ahead and really pull that off.
I was disappointed in the line play out of Texas last week against Rice. They just didn't control the line of scrimmage like I thought they were going to, and now it's Alabama. And though Caden Proctor got knocked on his butt. I don't know if you saw that play.
I did see that.
I had a little bit of a giggle on that one, but he's still, he's starting as a true freshman at Alabama.
Yeah.
He would definitely help out this Hawkeye offense. There is no doubt this season, but I'm with you, Alabama. And not only that, so many of their big games throughout the years have been that CBS mid-afternoon game. This is a night game, and it's going to be charged up. I've been to Tuscaloosa for a game. It's a great environment. It's going to be accelerated even more here. I'm going to lay it also. Give me Alabama laying the touchdown. Game number 2, Texas Tech, fresh off a loss to Wyoming. They got up 17-0, and then here come the Cowpokes coming back. Now they got Oregon coming to town. The Ducks favored by 6.5. Yet I'm going the other way. I watched a lot of that Texas Tech Wyoming game. It had a late start because of some thunderstorms that were up in Laramie. I think Tech's bounces back. I think they're still a good team. It's a tough place to go. It's a road trip in your first game. And Oregon, though Bo Nix has been excellent and they put a ridiculous number up last week, I think Texas Tech's going to be waiting here. I'm going to grab the points here. Give me the 6.5.
Yeah, this will be an interesting game, I think. Because again, that Texas Tech they're going to be charged up, ready to go, because especially coming off a tough loss the week prior. Because again, they were really strong in that game, and then I don't know, must be something magical in that Wyoming stadium or what, but it was a lot of craziness that happened towards the end of that game that I think probably ended up swaying it the other way. But my thing is, I feel like typically Oregon plays pretty strong especially on these road games early in the season. Obviously, if you don't count the Georgia game from last year, but typically they play really, really strong when they come on the road early in the season. And I don't think this year is going to be any different. Especially, I really like the things that Bo Nix has done since coming to Oregon. I think he's been a really, really good quarterback for them, and really has brought the offense I think that Oregon is typically as expected from their team. So yeah, give me the 6.5 for Oregon. I think they're going to have a good season this year.
Game number 3, it is the big noon kickoff over on Fox. It will be Deion Sanders. What a surprise that was. That was absolutely incredible as they beat TCU on the road this last week. They come home this week. Nebraska comes in, a great old rivalry renewed once again. We saw this game a season ago, and then Nebraska didn't get the win, and of course shot themselves in the foot, as only Nebraska can in the game against Minnesota. You can tell they at least have an adult on the sideline, something they haven't had for the last 5 seasons there. I believe in Matt Rule, and it might not happen this year, but it's going to happen here. This is about value. So I'm somebody that does gamble every day. I look at the lines every single day. And when the look-ahead lines came out this summer, Nebraska was anywhere between a 6.5 and a 7.5 point favorite. Now I'm getting a field goal. I'm going to grab that field goal. I'm going to grab Nebraska here and maybe slow down Deion and company here. Give me Nebraska.
I'm there with you. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a great game. Colorado, they came out. You're coming off that high of a win, from the week prior, and obviously Deion has been great in his career no matter what he's done. So he's definitely gonna get to the team like, hey, like we're obviously not done yet. That was just one game. on to the next. But how the team and the rest of is going to respond is what I'm curious to see. Obviously, Travis Hunter was phenomenal, played over 100 snaps last week, and that he's insane. Shedeur Sanders threw for 500 yards. But the Nebraska defense, I think, is going to play a lot better than TCU's defense did last week. And I think that's what's going to keep this game close. And it's going to be a really, really great game. But yeah, I'm going to go with Nebraska on this one for the points. But I honestly have no idea who's going to pull this off. But I do think that Nebraska will be able to cover those three.
Notre Dame, game number 4, they make their way to NC State to take on the Wolfpack. It'll be an early kickoff there. Also, 11 o'clock our time here in the Central Time Zone. Brendan Armstrong, the former Virginia quarterback, now at NC State, did have a great game throwing the football, but ran it incredibly well in their week 1 win. Notre Dame, they're cruising after 2 easy victories in the first couple of weeks. LeShun, I'll tell you, I think this is just a tricky spot more than anything. I'm grabbing the Wolfpack, getting a little more than a touchdown, plus the 7.5.
I was thinking Wolfpack. I really was. But I think, I really feel like, obviously, again, the players can't control, who they're going against. But, they came out and they did what they were supposed to do in the last 2 opponents. And obviously, Sam Hartman is another really, really good quarterback. And I feel like he's honestly been the quarterback Notre Dame has kind of been looking for the past several years. And I feel like the 7.5 points for Notre Dame, I think they're going to be able to go ahead and cover that. Because they've been so strong in the past game, and they've been really strong in the run game as well. And I don't see that. I don't see any reason why that shouldn't continue. Even though they're gonna be on the road, it's not gonna be a walk in the park game by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that Sam Hartman is good enough to be able to help them get those points and cover.
And we wrap it up, of course, with the Cy-Hawk game, Iowa at Iowa State this week. The Hawkeyes currently a 4-point favorite in this one. Iowa State got them a year ago, but last time Iowa State won in Ames, you got to go back to 2011. Boy, that was a long time ago. 12 years ago, last time they won one of these games in Jack Trice Stadium. Hawkeyes favored by 4. What do you got, LeShun?
Yeah, I like the Hawks, to be honest. I really do. Even though, again, the run game wasn't as stellar as what you would quite expect, I feel like they're going to be better in that department this week. And, even with Cade dealing with the leg, he's going to be able to get the ball out and get the ball to the playmakers and allow them to have opportunities to do it. And then, last week, I feel like this didn't get enough or see enough from Iowa State offensively, even though, again, they won 30-9 and felt like the offense really never. And I think for me to be able to go ahead and think that they're going to be able to cover those points. So give me Iowa, and I feel like they're going to come out strong and they're going to play, Iowa football that we're used to seeing.
So 2 changes for me, 2 things that have changed my opinion where I was all summer long when I was going to FanDuel when they had the Iowa State line up before the gambling investigation, and I was firing nonstop at Iowa. First, Iowa State has a dedicated special teams coach, and that's something that they haven't had in the past. I think they've closed the gap in special teams, something that had been significant and a big time advantage. I mean, you go back to the 18-17 game and the fumbled punt, which is still just hilarious watching that play, and the 2 idiots running in. Game that is closed up, and this is the one turning point for me. I keep going back to John Haycock, one of the best defensive coordinators in the country. This week brought to you by FanDuel. LeShun looking to bounce back. I got the early lead on the season, and we will be able to pay this thing off as we'll meet in person over in Wrigleyville coming up, and we'll have details as we continue, as we found out today here in just a couple of short months. That'll do it for today. Thanks as always for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. LeShun, we'll talk to you again down the line. We'll talk to you next week, and let's get a Hawkeye win.
Yes, sir. Go Hawks.